Alright everybody, and welcome to another episode of Would I Buy? Basically, it's the show where I try a bunch of demos randomly and give off my thoughts and basically decide whether I would personally buy the game, whether I'd wait for a sale, or whether I just wouldn't be into it at all and I'd leave it alone. And then I basically invite you guys to see if you've played the demo as well. Get a bit of conversation going. And in this one, we are looking at, is it Tinykin? Something like that. And I didn't really know what to expect with this one. I kind of had the feeling, looking very briefly at the pictures, I was thinking, would it be something like a bit of a puzzle game or something like that? Or maybe something a little bit like Pikmin. And then when I started playing it, I thought, okay, straight away it gave off a really good and interesting impression. And literally as soon as I was sort of started the game and started controlling the character, it reminded me very much of Toy Story. Did anybody ever play Toy Story 2, like back on the PlayStation 1 or on the N64 and stuff like that? It was basically where you played as Buzz Lightyear and you went through the various levels in the house, and like the first level was Andy's house and you just sort of jumped around there. And I don't know why, but the moment I started playing the game, that came to mind, and you know, straight away I was sort of engrossed in it and I was very much charmed by it. Now obviously it is and it isn't like that, but as I say, like the control scheme, it sort of is a little bit, I don't know, it sort of felt a little bit like a third-person shooter at. And when I say that, I mean like obviously you control your character with the left, but it doesn't feel like, say, like a Mario platformer. It's sort of very much you control and you jump. I don't know what I'm on about. I suppose you could just say with like the camera scheme, it wasn't like a traditional 3D platformer. It was more like a third person. It was a bit strange, but you quickly got used to it. It was absolutely fine. There was no problem. I make that sound like it was a bad thing. It really wasn't. I got used to it straight away. And of course, you have your jump, and then you have the ability to hover a little bit. And I suppose you could basically say it felt, I don't know, it was very much just your typical 3D platformer there, but it was really fun. It was like your typical collectathon, where basically you went around the levels and you collected, I don't know what they were called, but they were basically like these little creatures, and you essentially used these creatures to carry out various tasks for you. So like in the very first part of the game, you just pretty much, you can fire your creatures at certain objects and they would move that said object. So it's a pretty simple concept, and straight away, like, I was sort of very much immersed into this world. And likewise, when it came to the actual level, the level itself was took me about an hour, but it shows how much I was actually intrigued with it, because I just kind of wanted to really explore every nook and cranny, and not a lot of games make you do that. And I think the problem is because it doesn't do a good job of immersing you in the world. Now, whether that's because sometimes it's a linear fashion, but this is not. It's kind of like an open world, an open-ended level, and it's very reminiscent of like old classic 3D platformers, say like Banjo-Kazooie and situations like that. And now obviously you don't get like specific stars or anything like that, but what you do get rewarded with, you have basically like specific objectives, and you could sort of go out your way. You collect out all these various creatures, as well as like other little yellow golden nuggets type thing, which you also help to achieve such missions. And I think basically the aim of the game is you are to collect in each level one major piece of equipment. And that major piece of equipment helps to build your ship to get back home. And in order to get said major equipment, you have to carry out smaller objectives. And in order to carry out smaller objectives, you need to find said animals and golden nuggets to help you achieve that. And I suppose you could say that, yeah, okay, it's not quite exactly like your classic platformer where you gain a certain thing to unlock the next level. But in this respect, I kind of did get the same sense. I'm not making any sense here. It's sort of like it's not exactly the same as previous ones like Mario, but it also is, because you are achieving the objectives, and as soon as you've got that main thing, you can sort of move on to the next level. But likewise, on top of that, you've got the option to collect everything. Like, obviously, you get your counter of how many golden nuggets you've collected. And there's obviously a set total in each level, and I kind of felt motivated. I wanted to try and find all of them. Now, obviously, I have a feeling it'll be one of those games where I don't think I'd get every last. It'd be literally like I'd explore ages, and then it'll come down to that last one. I'd get so frustrated of trying to find it that I'd probably give up on it. So I probably wouldn't ever 100%, but very rare that 100% games these days. And anyway, that being said, on top of the main objective that you're aiming for, they also have, it looks like they have little side objectives as well, which help you collect artifacts. And all these tasks sort of range from sort of basically finding a certain object in the room, bringing it back to said place, and therefore you complete the objective. So obviously in the demo, the main objective I think really was to get a record player fixed. And you had to find certain objects that would help put the record back together. And I found it really, really enjoyable. I found it so pleasurable, and I haven't played the type of game in a long time where you just want to explore every nook and cranny, and there's always an incentive to do so. It wasn't just a linear fashion where you worked your way around the level and that was it, you moved on to the next. No, this was basically very free roam, open-ended, where you would slowly explore the level, and you could like create shortcuts in the form of like little balls of string that sort of created shortcuts. And I kind of got that sense of progression where essentially you was opening up the whole world to you, and that's what made the whole exploration of the level really fun. And I've not experienced that in a long time. Of course, as well, I really do like the art style. It's very simplistic. Like, obviously, I presume it'll be just whether you go to houses or whether you actually make it outside. I don't know. But all I know is that it reminded me a lot of like Toy Story, where you had your objectives and you slowly just explored this level, and it was such a pleasure to play. And once I'd beaten that level, I can presume, looking at the board, maybe there was like, was it 5 or 6 more levels? So obviously I can presume it's not going to be the longest of games, but what I played there, it was such a fun to play. And I think, literally, for that reason alone, I think I'd really enjoy playing this game. So when it comes down to, would I buy it? I think I would definitely buy this in a heartbeat. It's so fun to play this type of game again. And it's so rare to find stuff like that as well. You get many games that do try to recreate these classic platformers games, and it's not often where minigames seem to capture that aesthetic. It fails to capture that atmosphere, but I don't know why, there's just something about this that I really enjoyed. But yeah, so I would definitely buy this game. But that, as I say, as always, that is just my opinion. So basically, I'm curious of what your thoughts are. How about you? Have you played the demo before? What do you think? Is it a game that you think you would buy? Is it one that you like aspects of it but you're not too sure about? Or is it something that you are not into whatsoever? So yeah, please let me know. And as always, I will see you guys on the next one. Laters.
Shobby too.